Alrighty. Hello and welcome. Holy smokes. Man, another game. Another game. That was insane. Chelsea drew 1-1. Welcome in, everybody. The points counter goes up one more. Chelsea, if I go to the year-over-year comparisons, I can update it right now. 1. United, -1. I don't know what happened. I already did Newcastle and 1. United -2. Good morning. What a man. That game was not good for my health. That game and the F1. I don't know if anybody's an F1 fan. That game and Interlagos at the same time. I'm a big Max Verstappen guy. Was so bad for my health. Josh Oder, how are we so shit at Old Trafford every year? Man, we were so rubbish today. So poor. Not tactical, not anything like that. It's just the team played bad. My goodness, that was something. Listen, I'm gonna pull up the Mark R stats bot now. Nope, that's not. I wanted to go to the bot. I'm gonna pull it up so when it comes up, I can go see it. Hoo. That was something. That was really something. I mean, let's just get into it. So off the cuff, 2xG to 1.5 in favor of United. Obviously, the penalty is in that. The penalty doesn't even. So okay, there's two kind of schools of thought when we're talking about penalty XG, right? I just remove it all because there's not a lot of evidence that penalty winning is a repeatable skill for most teams and players. Most. There are some players who win a tremendous amount of penalties. Lionel Messi wins a lot of penalties. Jamie Vardy wins a lot of penalties. Marcus Rashford wins a lot of penalties, and Raheem Sterling wins a lot of penalties. Nani Madueke probably wins an above-average number of penalties. That wasn't the penalty. The penalty is just such a stupid moment that happens, insane moment from them. So if you take it out, it's a 1.2 to 1.5 game. Chelsea up on the shot differential away from home at United is okay. United have been porous. I think last season they conceded the most shots in Europe, or the most shots in target in Europe. So you'd like to see more. And I thought Chelsea played badly. And what's nice is that you play badly and the data is vaguely supportive of of your performance. 1.5 to 1.2 non-penalty at United. Playing as poorly as we did is all right, not bad. Again, if I go and look at last year, this was last year, dude. We lost 2-1, but got drilled. 3.5 to 1.5. They had a penalty that they missed in this as well. Killed on shot differential. Killed on field tilt. Today's way better than that. Way better than that. So that's nice. Other than that, there's not that much statistically to talk about. We were up on box touches again. I thought we didn't do a great job of turning field tilt into good stuff. It is what it is, man. What else we got in here? Crowd sways the referee. I thought the referee was fine today. There were a couple weird ones in midfield, specifically with Caicedo, but I thought he was totally fine. I don't know. Gusto and Nani time to ride the bench. Yeah, man. So let's just look at the board. I thought it would start like this. It did not. It was James left center back, Fofana Colwill. It was this. And what happened, right, is Palmer is here. Lavia is your better build-up threat. Caicedo is here. James is here. Neto is here. And Madueke is so high and wide the other side that you end up with these defensive situations where United, who press 4-2-4, bring both defensive midfielders over and the winger over. And so now it's like, of course this is the free player. Because it's the side Palmer is not on. The same thing happened in the second half where Palmer goes out here and now it's Cucurella. Like, Cucurella is always the free player because Palmer has so much gravity. And I think what we saw today was like one of the limitations of this player being a fullback is like Malo Gusto gets the ball in this spot so many times and makes not even one good decision the whole game. Like, just constantly, like, play Madueke and then break the line, but, like, don't even break the line in a good way. Like, you don't even wait for him to be able to play you. Or he tried, like, ridiculous through balls to Jackson that led to counters, or he just gives it away. And it's like, what are you doing? The same thing happened in the second half with Cucurella, where Cucurella gets here, he shoots from distance, or he plays it wide to overlap, and, like, just Chelsea got nothing good out of what should have given you way more good stuff. Way, way, way more good stuff. So I thought that was very, very disappointing. And then I thought Madueke was really poor. He gets 1v1 against the fullback who can't defend all game. And it's just like right-footed crosses. I don't even think Madueke took a shot today other than his header off the post. I don't even remember this. All right, sure, right foot. That was probably a cross. How much of the XG is the header off the post? A lot. And everybody was crying about the corners, and the corners were so good today. The set pieces were dangerous all day. 0.8 XG off corners today and gave up 0 off of corners. There's your £1 million assistant coach, since everybody wanted to talk about this week. I'm fiery today. I'm feisty today. Because today is everything happened exactly how I said it would. Everything is exactly how I said it would happen. Fofana is a fucking liability. Sorry to drop F-bombs. Fofana was so good today. He was so good. And then he has an insane moment of like, there's nobody to mark. He just loses him and gets underneath the ball, which he does every single game. And some people will tell you he's the best French center back around. No, he's not. He is so unreliable. And some people are going to talk about Moises Caicedo and say Moises Caicedo is average. No, he is not. Caicedo was very, very good today and scored an unbelievable goal and was by far the best defensive player on the pitch for both teams. This is how it happens. United were terrible. Bournemouth could have beat United today. I don't know about that. I thought United actually did what they were trying to do quite well. I thought they were much better defensively, especially in once Chelsea broke the line. What Chelsea did a really good job of is they would get from here to here. And as much as Gusto and Cucurella were terrible, they did a really, really good job about recovering from these moments, particularly Lisandro Martinez. I thought he had such a good game for them today, and I don't rate him at all, but I thought he was very, very good for them today. I thought that was nice. Nani, how many turnovers did Nani have? 4 on the pass, 2 on the dribble, and another one. So actually exactly 7. Not 7 gazillion Elliot Sherman, but exactly 7. It felt like more than 7. I can't lie to you. It did feel like more than 7. But yeah, I didn't think Madueke was very good today. I thought Lavia was very useful in terms of build-up. I also thought he was a little bit better defensively than he has been. But very useful in terms of build-up. But once you break the initial okay, they bring 4 and they bring 2 and they bring everybody. And United, I thought, pressed pretty aggressively today. Once you break this to get to this player here, Romeo Lavia gives you nothing anymore. There is no point to him being on the field. Once you get past your 40-yard line in possession, there's nothing he does. He doesn't break lines with passes. He doesn't pass the ball into the box. If we look, passing in the final third, 8 today, a lot of that is recycled passes out wide. I don't think Nani was disinterested, and I don't think he offered nothing off the ball today. I think he looks disinterested because he wears long shorts and is kind of that's what he is. But he was trying really hard. He did make lots of runs in behind. And I thought he worked very hard defensively. I thought he worked very hard defensively. I also fully disagree about Neto. I thought Neto was way better on the left than he was on the right. So good defensively, though, but way better on the left than the right. I'm wondering what there's so many. Ugarte had 5-6 fouls after the yellow. I don't know. I didn't notice that. 6 fouls. That's a lot of fouls. When did he get booked? He got booked first half. I don't think he had 6 after that, but he definitely had a lot of fouls. But I think today was refereed okay. I'm wondering at what point Maresca says F it and puts Reese where Gusto's been. Yeah, this is the thing, right? We've talked about this on a couple streams now. Is whatever, I'll just do it on this side. Is can Reese can he get into midfield without his hamstrings dying? And I don't think he can. Is the tough thing. And I also think he's been really good as part of the back three and really useful. He had one bad giveaway as a passer, but he was very good moving the ball forward today. I'm very curious to see what the progressive 13 passes into the final third from the back three is crazy. So that I think really matters. But we'll see. Neto is brilliant. I think that's a bit much. I don't think anybody was brilliant. I thought Palmer had a really bad day. I thought Jackson had a really bad day. I thought Colwill was not great. He had a quite hard time with Højlund. I would say Chelsea's best player today was pretty comfortably Moises Caicedo. And I would say next it was Wesley Fofana, who was super, super, super unreliable and gives away a horrible penalty. But he also has an unbelievable recovery for Joshua Zirkzee and wins so many headers. And I thought Wesley Fofana was really, really good except for a very stupid penalty giveaway. Same with Sanchez. I thought Sanchez was so good today except for a terrible penalty giveaway. I thought he was much better. I thought Gusto was poor. I thought Madueke was poor. I thought James was pretty good. I thought Colwell was just okay. I thought Lavia was just okay. I thought Neto was just okay. I thought Palmer wasn't great. I thought Jackson wasn't great. I thought Caicedo was very good. And then of the subs, I thought Cucurella was pretty good. I thought Enzo was just okay. Mudryk was just okay. And that's probably where I'd leave it. Enzo should score, or at least do better off of the chance he gets. But it is what it is. Do we think Maresca doesn't rate Nkunku? This is a good question, man. Josh Otter asked earlier, why not play Nkunku or Felix off right wing and allow Gusto to be a more traditional fullback? Yeah, Maresca talked about this midweek. He got asked about the B team guys coming into the first team games. And he's we might see we might see Palmer Felix as double tens. And that is the change that I would have gone to win the game. Is I would have gone Nkunku for Madueke and have Gusto be the widest one, and then have Nkunku Palmer double tens. That would have been the change I would have made. But we'll see. 4 yellows for Jackson. Such a stupid yellow too. Just so unnecessary, man. There's no benefit to it. Look, I don't think there's a ton to talk about tactically here. I thought Chelsea did a very good job. Let's see what the Mark Stats bot is saying. 2.1 to 1.8. So again, a 0.3-ish, difference. Pretty good field tilt. Pretty big expected threat difference. Even on penalty box shots, even on deep entries, a little bit better build completion. This is a low number for us. They did a pretty good job. Pretty pressy. Same number of turnovers as them. It is what it is. Abdullahi Kir defensively having them as double 10 scares me. Yeah, they wouldn't start as double 10s. It would be Palmer would be the right winger and would come in as a 10. I think you can get away with it with Palmer as one of the wingers defensively. He did it all last year, and I think it was totally fine. But man, like, again, I just like it's very frustrating, but like this is real improvement. And again, another +1 in the points. Another +1 in the points compared to last year. You are 7 ahead from last season, just off of this year's games. 7 ahead. You keep racking it up. Okay, you've got Arsenal at home next weekend. Can you get a draw there? Let's see how that goes. Can you beat Leicester? Can you beat Villa? Can you beat Southampton? Can you beat Tottenham? It's every week to keep pushing and pushing and pushing. But like today was weird, man. Like I felt way worse watching it than the data is. But again, I think we were so bad. I think we played so poorly. And to play so poorly and come away from a game where it's like fairly deserved draw, I think is like hard to be too mad about it. Yeah, Reece James was a monster today, man. He was so good. Feels like more than +1 because they killed us last year. Yeah, 100%. 100%. We were so bad at United last year. We were so bad. That or Arsenal 5-0 or Liverpool away were by far our worst performances of the season. Those three, we were so bad. Like, just horrific in those 3 games. And we've played 2 of them, and we're way better already. Like, again, I just keep saying I think this team is meaningfully better than last year. We are picking up more points. The metrics across the board are better. And, like, again, there's a lot of people who don't like this team, and that's fine. Don't watch. You don't have to. You are under no obligation to watch the team. You don't owe anyone anything. If you don't want to watch, go do something else. Like, it is perfectly okay for you to say, I don't enjoy the way this team plays, and I don't like this team. Like, it's totally okay to say that, and it is totally okay to, on a Sunday morning, go do something else. Go to the bakery and hang out and get a coffee and a pastry and do your thing. That's totally okay. The Sarri season, I did not enjoy watching that team even a little bit. And so what happens is, like, weekends towards the end of the season, it's like, all right, do I really want to give up my Sunday at 12:30 to watch this game? Like, nah, I'll go hang out with my friends or whatever. And that's okay. That's totally okay for you to do. But, like, you don't have to make everybody else miserable. Just leave and don't talk about it. It is what it is. Maresca's talked about Lavia Caicedo being the choice for physicality, which feels a little racist, but I get it. No, he's... I don't understand. I still don't understand. I don't get it. I don't see it. I don't know what it is. That when it's Lavia Caicedo, they both sit deep. When it's Caicedo and Enzo, they don't both sit deep. I truly don't understand it. It is the single question I have more than anything about anything for the past 2 seasons is why both Enzo Maresca and Maurizio Pochettino want Enzo higher. And I don't know, maybe it's Enzo wants to do that, but then you see Enzo like Instagram posts when he plays as a defensive midfielder that it's like he's finally in his real position. So, like, I don't know. Like, I truly don't understand. His explanation for Enzo moving forward made no sense. But he didn't explain why. He just said that Enzo does move forward. He didn't say why he does that. Kind of... I miss Reece as a marauding fullback, but it's modern football. It's also his hamstrings. It is what it is. Sorry, side with Ruben was different, though, and it kicked on a bit. That team had loads of fun games. The Europa League was a super fun run. Mostly because they were better than all the teams they played. But also, like, the league games were, like, really desperately not fun for that season. I don't know. I'm kind of iffy on our set-piece deliveries. I feel like we're not maximizing our big guys on them. So, listen. So, the only thing that I really dislike, and for people who were on the stream last week, we talked explicitly about this set-piece, and it was the first set-piece Chelsea ran, and they hit the post off of it. Chelsea run their set pieces. They start everybody out. So if anyone was paying attention, I said that I wish they would do a little bit more of exactly this. Chelsea have their guys set up for their corners. Okay, whatever, the big guys who are going. They have them relocate to the back post. What has happened against Newcastle, and happened a lot today, is you would get floated deliveries high to the back post for them to win the first ball. And what I said is that what I would prefer is after you relocate here, at least one of your guys makes the hard near post run. Literally the first corner of the game, Nani Madueke makes the run, he pops out and Fofana makes the run. And if Nani Madueke doesn't have the ball, Fofana scores. If only one of them are there, they score for sure. And Madueke hits the post. And then Colwell gets the knockdown. And huge set piece chance, perfect set piece design, great delivery. The problem with a lot of the deliveries today is they were too high and too floaty, but the width ones were really, really good. Really good. Yeah, that was a lot. Sorry I'm late. Worst Premier League game of the season for me, but thankfully Garnacho's dreadful. I thought we were worse versus Bournemouth. And Garnacho was really good. He just we were quite fortunate that he decided not to kick the ball good today. But it happens. That's why XG is a thing. You look at the historical conversion rates, those cutbacks don't go in as much as you think they do. Same with the Rashford volley, the back post Rashford volley. That's such a hard chance. I saw people being it's a sitter. It's not a sitter. That's such a hard chance. I feel like our crossing overall open play was poor too. Yeah, for sure. I thought we got into these positions a lot, whether it was Gusto or Madueke or Mudryk or Neto. I thought we got into these spots a lot and just didn't get really good value from it. The one that pissed me off the most, Mudryk comes on. Palmer goes around him. Chelsea have loaded the box. They have got numbers into the box in great spots. You're super happy with where everybody is. And Jackson, instead of making the hard near post run, pops off for no reason. And then Onana cuts it out at full stretch. And it's one of those ones that, if you just gamble here, you score. You just have to get a touch and you score 100% every single time. This is one of the things that really bothers me compared to Spurs. Spurs are so much more diligent about making this run across the near post. It doesn't matter who's in the 9 spot or who's arriving there. They always get there. Boom, 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 across the near post. Always. And this is the thing. We've seen Maresca talking with the wingers about getting to where I have Madueke right now is 100%, the winger has to get there. That's Brennan Johnson scores the winner. Or I think maybe Solanke scores the winner like that today. But you also have to get Jackson here, and you have to get someone arriving here. And you have to fill all 3 spaces. I think anyone on our team, and Kunku's most likely to gamble there. Yes, I'm inclined to agree. I think I said this in the offseason. This was the thing that I wanted. This was the thing I think they really missed in their summer recruitment, and they almost didn't miss it because they almost got Omaradian instead of João Felix. Samu Omaradian, there you go. Abdullahi Mumi, Samu's a near post monster. If you get Omaradian, you bring him on today, and he just crashes the near post over and over and over. Look at what he did to United already. I think that's by far my biggest gripe about Jackson is he does not get himself across the near post enough. He is so good at everything, but he does not get himself across the near post enough. And you really, really would love that profile in the squad of a Giroud or a Chris Wood or a Jean Duran or an Omaradian who's a big, nasty lump who's just going to get across the near post and attack crosses over and over and over and over and over and over. All the time. That's the run. You have to make it. You have to make it. And to be fair, Jackson made it a couple times on this side. He did on the other side. But you have to make it. It's hard because Jackson wants to make this channel run when the ball goes wide, so he's not really there to attack it. But I wish he made that decision a little bit more frequently. Our offside trap worked well. Yeah, I think Colwell and Fofana have a pretty good understanding. I thought Højlund might have been off on that chance at the end, but James is deep. But again, Reece has kind of never been great at keeping his line, so it's a lot of recovering there. I want to blame Maresca, but if Tuchel Chelsea didn't win against Rangnick United, it just is what it is. Okay, let's talk about that then. And Kadar says, I don't think Maresca was aggressive enough pushing for the win. It seems like he was okay with the point. So, let's start there. What tactically did you want to see differently from how Chelsea chose to play? I would have liked to have seen Gusto or Reece be the width holder and get Nkunku or Felix into that pocket. I would have liked to see that. I think that falls into the latter statement of I don't think Maresca was aggressive enough pushing for the 3-point. I think that's totally valid. I think in general, managers are not aggressive enough pushing to win drawn games. I think that is an objectively true statement that managers are too conservative in drawn games, particularly in drawn games against other big teams. However, there is value to again, if we look at the year over year comparison, it actually matters. A draw here matters more for Chelsea than it does for United. It's only +1, but it's -2 for United. So from a table chasing standpoint, it actually does matter. I didn't like Fofana having to do the passing in the second half. Yeah, I think that is also another adjustment, but then we're talking about okay, that means Reece has to stay at left back and you have to do something else with right back. I'd rather see Cucurella on the right. I don't think I would like Cucurella in that right 8 space here at all. What you would love is just for Gusto to play better. Or to bring Cucurella for Gusto and then have Reece do that role. Those are the two things you would do, and then Cucurella makes part of the back 3. That's the sub I thought we were going to see, because I think he's been pretty deliberate. But what I think Chelsea did a much better job, and let me rearrange everybody here. What I thought Chelsea did a way better job of today than previous games, if I go all the way back, Gusto was off the field, so I'll put Cucurella here. What I thought Chelsea did a way better job of today was that Colwill was not out here. Even when they were building deep, Colwill was narrow. Way narrower. Way narrower. And against the 4-2-4, you create a real decision between who's coming of these two. And I thought Chelsea did a way better job of keeping him here so that, this player has to shrink and then you can play the winger or you can hit the channel. Or if the 10 steps, you just break the line and you're out. I thought this was really good. I think Seb's point on Gusto is valid, where you move these midfield prospects to fullback during development. Switching back doesn't seem to fit what he does well. I mean, this is the thing, right? I actually think it does fit Gusto really well in terms of, he's pretty canny between lines. He can dribble out of pressure with somebody on his back really well. He's, pretty good as a passer to keep things ticking over. I think purely my objection with Gusto is decision-making and not technical execution. If he was to receive in this place and dribble forward until someone steps to him, and then either pass the ball to Palmer or pass the ball to Madueke and do nothing else, or get it and give it to Madueke and then go, I'd be totally fine with that. Or get it, give it to Palmer, or get it, give it to Jack, whatever. But it's when he's trying to do more, he's trying to add, instead of so there's a thing we talk about when I coach, that we talk about giving other people your time, or trying to create time for someone else, right? So what we see a lot is you'll see, for example, Cole will receive the ball here and wait to be pressured before he plays to Fofana so that the window is bigger so Fofana can give his time to Lavia, right? A lot of it is can you give time to other people? And then there's also times for you to use time. You have space and time, and you should take it yourself, right? Cole Palmer, I want to always use time because he's so good. Gusto should not be consuming time. He should be giving time to other people. Luca Tenerello, enjoyed you and Seb beefing. Okay, here's what we're not gonna talk about this. We're gonna talk about it one time, and then it's over. Seb is being very annoying, and that's fine. Seb knows lots of things. I don't agree with him. If he does not like the team, he does not have to watch. However, he should not try to make other people miserable. That is the entirety. Don't clip this, because I'm not Alex Goldberg. That's my only thing. Like, it is fine to disagree. There are lots of people I disagree with. There are lots of people who disagree with me. That's okay. I think that there is a meaningful statistical improvement in this team. What I see with the eyes is that it looks mostly the same. And between the two, I'm going to pick the data over my eyes every single time. Because guess what? We miss things. I watch on the couch with my fucking hand on my phone tweeting. I watch only so many games a weekend. Between the two, unless there is a reason, something I am clearly seeing, that I think the data is wrong. And listen, I've built these models. I've built G+. G+, to me, is the best possession value model that is publicly available. I'm sure there is better stuff in private at Barcelona and Liverpool and Man City. I'm sure. But, like, I have no qualms with what I am seeing in the data. There's nothing I am looking at and I'm like, oh, here's a huge caveat. Like, I don't think this is real. Like, do I have some apprehension about the shot volume? Yes. Is it still very much better than last year? Yes. Do I think the defensive improvement is probably not as big as it appears to be? Maybe. Do I care about yellow cards? No. I just don't think there's anything there. And that's fine. People can disagree about that. I just don't think you should be an asshole about it. And I am an asshole. So, like, I'm a hypocrite, too. But, like, I just, that really bothers me. Aggie scored. Yeah, the women are playing, too. I should be watching that instead of streaming. There's a lot of good Gusto chat. I feel like when he's in central position, he gets inside 30 yards, seems to really thinking about what he should do next. Same with Caicedo, willing to believe it's the new role. Yeah, like, give it some time. I agree with you, though. I think he's like, he doesn't make very good decisions in there. Gusto needed to open body, move it to Madueke, and then break the line. Yeah, like, that's one solution. You can play Madueke and get around him. I'd actually like to see him get around him a little bit more. I would definitely like to see that more. Instead of always, like, it's always this one. Like, ball goes wide, and then I break the line here. But I'd like to see sometimes more of the overlap. Because I think Madueke is so good at using the threat of the overlap to create the space to go inside. And when there's only the underlap, it's almost impossible to go inside because the defensive midfielder comes. And it's really hard. Like, Rashford is so good. Rashford is so good at using an overlapping fullback to create space to go inside. Like, even I really loved the corner United ran where they played short to Rashford here and then he used the pass back to create space to go past Palmer. I loved that. Has Madueke beaten a single fullback since Wolves? I mean, he goes back past fullbacks every weekend, but it's been a lot of to get crosses and cutbacks, and he's, like, not great at them with his right foot. Yeah, like, I would be... He's had enough of a consistent run. Like, I would be trying other things for Arsenal. But this is the thing also. Like, he's been pretty diligent defensively, and it's like, do you really want to like change something big for Arsenal? I don't know. That's a tough decision to make. I can't wait for the Arsenal game. I'm going home, so I'm not gonna be able to stream afterwards. I'm flying back to Canada, but it's gonna be real interesting to see how Chelsea hang with Arsenal, because I think that's a really hard game. We'll see. I think we're just missing more cohesion, better performing wingers. Yeah, like, the winger's clearly the weakest position in the squad. Winger and, like, goalkeeper are the two by a lot. Like, just there's a collection of, like, okay wingers. This is why I don't get when it's like, if Chelsea decided in the summer, we're out on Madueke, like, I'm out. I would have no qualms if they got a big fee. I'd be like, okay, all right, sure, fine, whatever. It's the same gripe I had with buying Neto and Sancho, like, because we're not going to come 15th. Like, okay, they're fine. They're not great. What's the point? Maybe, as Islam says, like, maybe Estevao is so good. Maybe Estevao is so good that you are just amazing. But I don't think he'll be really good right away. We'll see. How do you coach set pieces for a team? So, generally, how most teams coach set pieces is on match day -1, so the day before a game. The coach is like, these are the corners we're doing. Here are the defending corners we're doing. Here's some wide free kicks. Here's some central free kicks, whatever. Here's what we're doing. You get half an hour, and that's it. How good teams coach set pieces, there's like two parts of it. So just like every other part of the game, you want to teach players like principles and ideas that are universally applicable, right? Like on the field, you want to create 2v1s, and you want to get towards the middle of the pitch for better goal scoring opportunities. You want to have good body position to turn and go. You want to use double movements to create space for yourself, right? Like, so all of those things are good. For set pieces, there's the same, right? Like, for example, if you're the player making the run to the back post, like, you want to coach them that, hey, if you're the back post run, you always have to get to the back post because you never know what's going to happen. If you are a player who is like a decoy run, you talk about like making hard decoy runs to draw people with you. You teach players how to set picks and block, right? Because you can't have them just pulling shirts or else stuff's going to get disallowed. You have to teach them how to do blocks properly. You are teaching them about like, hey, if a player is square to watch a corner, they can't look at you from behind. So you have to make your run. Like, a lot of it is teaching principles of like, no matter what routine we run, no matter whether it's a free kick, it's a corner, it's whatever, it doesn't matter. These are useful and important skills, like that are going to help get you free, or help get other people free, or help get you free, help get other people free, or on the other end, like help you track runners. Like, that's a thing. Like, I remember I watched the coach doing a set piece session with, I won't say who, that they were teaching small guys how to navigate screens, like basketball players. They were teaching small guys like, hey, you're picking somebody up. Here's how you can set yourself up to navigate the screens to get around them, right? Like, that's a thing that people talk about NBA point guards, and like NBA point guards are kind of like big soccer guys. How do you get around the players trying to block you to follow them? Same thing, you are a small guy. Compare Enzo Fernandez when he marks bigs to like Noni Madueke or somebody else smaller marking bigs. Enzo Fernandez is an unbelievable set piece defender. He is so smart because what he does is he figures out where they're running, and he gets his body between them and where they're running. So you never see, you watch this with Madueke, there's a free kick that United get today that is right here. It's where Romeo Lavia is. And at the back post, they have James, they have Fofana, and they have Madueke. And United have a guy here, they have a guy here, and then they have Garnacho. And Garnacho just goes like this and is totally free. And Madueke has no idea. Enzo Fernandez is very good at like, where are you running? My body is in the way. And when you jump, I'm pushing you. Because guess what? No corner is a referee calling a foul if you just push him while he's in the air. If I just, boop, nobody's calling a foul. It's never happening. And he disrupts jumps. He disrupts runs. He's very, very good at it. So a lot of that is coaching stuff. Somebody from StatsBomb told me this week that last season, Chelsea were third worst by XG per corner on the offensive end, and were 10th best, so like exactly middle, for defensive set pieces per corner, XG per corner. And this year we're 6th XG per corner defensively, and last on on attacking ones, and that'll go way up with the Madueke one today. Like we'll go up to middle of the table, so it'll be a big difference. Conte was good at this too. Yeah, Conte's the same because he's so strong. He would like body guys. Even Jorginho is rubbish physically, but he's very smart, and he was very good at getting in guys' ways on defensive set pieces. But a lot of it is like building the habits. So that's one half of it, right? Is teaching like good habits on the offensive and defensive end. Like SS is crashing the near post and instruction thing. I assume you're talking about like Jackson box movement, but also for set pieces, like that it is habits you build. Like you are not inherently like, you don't inherently know how to do stuff. You learn through trial and error, or you're coached to do it. So one half is the instructed habits and behaviors that you pick up and then you stick with it. Like super, super, super useful. And so that's really one half of it. And then the other half is like, okay, I, the set piece coach, watch the other team and go look at every single corner, and every single wide free kick, and this is how they defend, and these are the tendencies, and this is what they're doing, and here are the routines we're gonna run to pick on those tendencies. So like what we saw, for example, a lot of what happened to Chelsea last year is Chelsea would get there would be free kicks here. And so Chelsea would line up all their guys at the back post because they're like, well, the corner is going to come here, and this is what's going to happen. And teams would put 2 guys here, and they'd put everybody else here. And you'd have like Lavia and Madueke mark these guys because they're like, well, they're not going to do anything to this side because you can't score a header from here. But what they would do is then they'd bring a midfielder, they'd play short here, and then they'd deliver to these 2 big guys who obviously destroy these 2 in the air. And then these guys are like, well, it's not coming to us, so we're going to stay here while everybody runs to the back post. We conceded a goal to Nottingham Forest exactly like that this year. This is exactly the Nottingham Forest goal. Shift, deliver, second phase. And this was like a thing that Chelsea have been really bad at for 2 years because their players go like this. Oh, it's offside. I don't have to run anymore. It's offside. No more run tracking. That is good set piece coaching, is like finding those moments and then attacking them that way, right? Like there's lots of things. Like if you have heavy zonal markers, right? If they're zonal, how do they watch the ball and watch you coming from the back? They can't. It's not possible, right? So you have to have runs set up to like, okay, well, I'm going to make it so this center back cannot watch me and watch the ball. Because if he can't watch me, he doesn't know that I'm about to dart in front of him. So that stuff is really good. And that's why, I can't remember who it was that tweeted it this week. Somebody was like, what do we even do on set pieces? And I said, like, I think the process is pretty good. And like a lot of people got mad about that. I think the process is pretty good because I think the routes have largely been quite matched up to the defensive setups we have been facing. Like, again, United have pretty heavy zonals, and I thought Chelsea did a lot of relocate and then attack their blind spot. I thought the set pieces were quite good today. There was a wide free kick that was the same. There was a pick and then a run off the back shoulder that was like a Colwill slide at the back post, and they don't get anything out of it, but it was a really good moment. So that stuff is good. Kendry Payet's goal, that's nice. I gotta open the Chelsea women game because I don't know what's going on. They're winning. That's nice. All right, cool. So that's like one half of it, right? Okay, there are a few questions in there while I was like ranting about set pieces, but I really like set pieces. They're so fun. The issue with mid-money, high-potential wingers is that they have to be amazing for there to be a market to be sold at a profit. But if they're good, you want to keep them. That is 1,000% true. And this is the problem I have with a lot of Chelsea's business, is that they are spending too much money on a lot of the like for-profit players, right? Like Moises Caicedo is supposed to play for you. Like you are not selling him up. But like someone like Carney Chukwuemeka, who you spend $20 million on, like he has to be pretty good for you to sell up. David Washington, you spent $20 million. He has to be good for you to sell up. Pedro Neto, 60 million. He has to be really good for you, and if he's not, he's very hard to move. Barishile, Disasi, like over and over and over. Like this is the really tough thing is like for these mid-money players. Like if you buy a player for 30 million euros in England, the number of teams you can sell up to is like 10. I think I said in preseason, somebody was like, no, you can sell all these players here and where. And the wages is another thing. Yeah, Kriz, the wages also is a big thing. But I said this in preseason. In the history of soccer, there are like 33 teams who have ever paid more than 30 million euros. Ever. And if you don't want to sell, and you can't sell to yourself, so it's down to 32. And if you don't want to sell to other big Premier League teams, yeah, Jorgensen, another perfect example. If you don't want to, even Georgi Petrovic, and I'm going to come, I saw the people talking about Petrovic. Even the Petrovic deal, Chelsea way overpaid on that deal. Way, way, way overpaid on that deal. If you want to move these dudes, like the market for you to do so is so small. So small. Which is why you're way better with like Datro Fofana size deals at 10 million. Because those guys, if they hit, they don't even have to hit that well. Like if Datro Fofana had been at Burnley for the whole year and scored 9 Premier League goals or something, say he had like 8 Premier League goals and 4 assists, which is like I think vaguely in line with what his expecteds were. You penalty footy, you can't sell to yourself. Well. Clearly, we'll find a way. But let's like Datro Fofana, if he was at Burnley the whole year and he puts up 8 and 4, you can sell to West Ham for 30 million. Done deal. But if you pay 25 for him, now what's the point? It's just very, very difficult. Okay, I'm making my way through. If Sancho and Madrid come along decently, I can see us cashing in on Madueke and letting Neto Estevao handle right wing. I don't know. I don't think about that. I don't know. Navigating screens. I doubted your ball knowledge after you hyped up Petrovic when we signed him. Petrovic is a very good goalkeeper who was done very dirty last year. If you look, so he's way behind his expected goals last season. Better models have him not as far behind his expected goals. And he conceded 7 deflections. Like goals that were deflected that he now doesn't have a chance to save. But the post-shot expected goals are like the way deflections get modeled is quite difficult, and it's really hard to know if it's like you just put a deflection flag on and it's like, does it go like this and then this, like a huge deflection, or is it a small deflection? It's very, very hard to know. It's very hard to know. You can lose money but profit on the spreadsheet with the running years, just like the burning money stage of the takeover. Yeah, like this is true. You can make accounting profit, but like Chelsea are run by a company who wants to make real profit, or at least make enough money that they can sell on equity value increase. Like that's the tough thing. Look at the 20 million or whatever on Mike Penders. Yeah, like I think that's way too much money. People really like Penders, but I think that's way too much money. Like compared to Courtois, who was 7 million. I think him and De Bruyne were like a combined 10 or something like that. But the market's very different now for prospect players like that. And Petrovic has been quite good at Strasbourg. Like by comparison, like let's see, Georgi Petrovic, FB ref. I think he's like either in line or a little better. Yeah, in line or a little better. So he's a league average goalkeeper in Liga. Like, okay, that's pretty good. At 24 for a guy you signed from MLS, like that's a good start. I can live with that. Like it is what it is. And yeah, like who's Callum Walsh? It's such a volatile position. So okay, here's the thing. I got asked by somebody this week. So here is Katie Lund. Lund. Is that her name? Katie Lund is the Racing Louisville goalkeeper in NWSL. Okay, women's soccer. This season, she's conceded 2.5 goals more than her post-shot expected goals. That's bad. By our model at ASA, she's the worst goalkeeper in NWSL this year. Okay? You'd be like, what the heck? This girl stinks. Her career for advanced goalkeeping is undeniably positive. Her whole career. Huge seasons. Advanced goalkeeper stats are very, very, very volatile. Very volatile. Yeah, Bay's article, please. I'll like, you can see. We'll bring up the thing because it's like the thing I do. By the way, Mike and Bridger, who wrote this, is a baller. He's the guy who made Davies as well, the like youth projection. The error bars on this are massive. Massive. Like if I do it, so we only did, here we go. The error bars on this are massive. Like, so Petrovic was amazing, right? When we wrote this, like this was a year ago, so it was only one season of Petrovic at MLS. Amazing. But look how big the error bars are. It's very, very, very hard. You need hundreds. So like this is how many, if a goalkeeper is that percentile, this is how many shots on target you need to be 95% confident. Okay? 80th percentile is so good. Most goalkeepers don't face 2,000 shots on target in their whole career. Their whole career. Like if I go look at Kepa, okay? So Kepa is like the reverse of this, where Kepa has had like truly horrific seasons, okay? But he's also had pretty good seasons. His last season at Chelsea, he was very decent. Terrible season. Like even this, right? The Bilbao season and the first season under, does everyone else remember this number being really bad? And does everyone else remember him having a negative post-shot expected goals at Athletic Bilbao? Like, I'll show you, if you go back and look at the old StatsBomb article when Chelsea first signed Kepa. Okay? They wrote how in their model, and this is not a criticism of StatsBomb, this was 8 years ago. Data's come so far. In their data, Kepa was a negative shot-stopping goalkeeper in Spain. As the models have gotten progressively better and better and better, this stuff gets better over time. It is so hard to model. It is so hard to model. I'd bring back Lolichon and Czech just to scout the keepers. Yeah, I'd like Christoph Lolichon. And Czech, I think, by all accounts, Clear Lake wanted to keep Czech, but he didn't want to stay. He was like a Roman guy, and he's like, I don't really want to. So that's fine. I remember reading that StatsBomb article on the bus and feeling doomed. Yeah, there's a whole backstory about that we're not even going to get into. I think I remember that he was narrowly negative. Yeah, he was like -1 at Bilbao. And as it gets better, these things change. I remember him being terrible in the Sarri season. It is what it is. Do you think the sporting directors understand this data? I don't think the sporting directors do, but I also don't think that's their job. I think the sporting directors need to be aware of this, but I also think like the club needs to have a dedicated data and analysis department that can take all of this, right? And can go through all the data and all the models and build all this stuff and then distill it down to the most actionable takes. Like, I think, so like the difference between this and like, I think it's very important for coaches and sporting directors to understand XG and to understand probability is like, I think that stuff is just generally way better for the way you think, right? Like, it is really valuable for a coach to know that 3 points, like the 2-point gain of winning a game that you are tying, is twice as big as the 1-point loss if you lose it. Like, if Enzo Maresca made crazy subs to try and win the game today, and Chelsea lost on the counter, and he went into his press conference and they were like, oh my God, what were you doing? And he said, listen, it's 1 point, but the extra 2 points are twice as much of the risk of losing. Of course I'm going to take the risk. I would literally weep tears of joy. This is so ridiculous. But like, I used to coach when I was back in Canada. I coached the university team, but the other team I did was like a semi-pro academy team kind of thing. Like, it's called League One Ontario. It's like a big league in Canada. But I had a boys team that I did in the summer. They were like 17, 18, 19-year-olds. And we played in a U21 league. In 3 seasons, we did not draw a single game. Because if we were tying, I would play 4 strikers to go try and win. And we were like, I don't know, we went like 45 wins, 15 losses, or 42 wins, 17 losses, something like that in 3 seasons. We did not draw a single game because we'd risk it. Who cares? If we lose 1 point, we lose 1 point. But if we win, we win. And it's huge. It's double the swing. So things like that really matter, I think, for coaches and for sporting directors. But I don't think like the intricacies of post-shot expected goals models or the intricacies of OBV and G+, like, I don't think that stuff is valuable for sporting directors to know. I think it's really important for your data people to know, and Chelsea don't really have a data department, which is still a thing, even though they said they're going to make the best data department in the world. But here we are. Goalkeepers have the hardest position to scout. Imagine without having data. It's so hard. Since I'm a data guy, how do I analyze and determine a player's value and stat test or eye test? The stat test is the eye test. Like, how many goals a player scores is something you see with your eyes and in the data. Like, I'll put it this way. There are no I can't remember who said this. It was one of the in Market Insights guys, Tim Keach or one of those guys. They're really good. One of them said at one point, like, somebody find me an example of a player who is objectively really good. Everyone agrees is really good. That has no good data. There's nothing in the data that's like, oh my God, this guy's pretty good. And like, the closest answer I had was like Dusan Vlahovic. But even Vlahovic, you look and you're like, okay, like, this guy's no good. But then actually he takes a ton of shots. That's objectively a good thing. His non-penalty expected goal is pretty good. Back when he was at Fiorentina, it was like not as good for the non-penalty stuff. I think he's gotten quite a bit better over the years. But like, there's no player who is really good who has bad data. It doesn't happen. There are plenty of players who have good data who are not good. That is a totally real thing that happens. But there are no players who are really good that have bad data, in my opinion. Arteta's a bum for playing defensively and drawing at the Etihad. So here's where, like, sometimes that decision is not true. For example, if it is 1-1 and you are ahead by 2 points, you don't want the extra risk. Like, there are situations where it's actually true, like, you don't want the extra risk. And you have to balance the probabilities that you can win versus you can lose, right? Like, if you are way worse, like, if you are a team who is way worse than the other team, like, this is a thing in MLS, right? The MLS playoffs, they play 3 games in the first round. And if the game is tied at the end of 90 minutes, you go to a shootout. If you are the way worse team, you should be playing to get to the shootout because you are approaching 50% win probability. If you play to try and win the game in regular time, you'll probably lose. But the probability you can tie and then win a coin flip is probably higher total win probability. So it's like again, you have to take the knowledge of it. The other thing to be mindful of is, like, in knockout competitions, because as the game goes on, you approach 50% win probability because you're going to a shootout. Like, what we see in knockout competitions is that reducing expected goals against is better for to advance probability than increasing your expected goals for. I think there's fear of getting nothing from a close game. It damages morale. But think about the morale boost when you get something from think about Old Trafford or United at home last year. If at 3-3, Chelsea are like, fuck, it's been crazy, let's just take the draw. Versus the huge juice of you go win the game. Like, I think there is, again, assuming the distribution of outcomes helps for you or is worth it, like, I think you should be able to take a step back and say, like, okay, there's probably like a 50% chance that, or there's a 30% chance we win the game here, there's a 30% chance nothing happens, and there's a 30% chance we lose the game, then you do it. But you have to be real. You have to be real about those situations. But that is what it is. So I think, like, in terms of analyzing a player and determining player value is a totally different question that we don't even have, like, there are not enough hours in the day. And I'm not even sure I have a good answer for determining player value, to be honest with you. Like, my approach is looking for comparable deals. So, like, when I was looking at all the young players Chelsea had been buying, like Angelo and David Washington and all those guys, I was looking, okay, like, what have they done in the Brasileiro? What have they done with the youth national teams? What's their contract situation at their clubs? Who are they being bought by? How do these values scale up? And it was like, okay, Chelsea probably overpaid for Angelo and David Washington, but probably got good value for Andre, was my finding based on what I saw. But there's lots of, like, there was Joe Mulberry, I think his name is, who was like a Right to Dream guy and like Norgeland. He, I believe, did a study at Opta Proform a few years ago with a model that predicted transfer price. That was pretty good. I remember their flagship case being the Doku move to Man City, and they had the price like pretty much bang on. But it's determining price is really hard. Like, there was StatsBomb did a really cool case study behind the scenes. I don't think they talked about it on podcasts and stuff, but I don't think like it ever came out, where they priced the Mbappe move, for the eventual Mbappe move from Monaco, where Mbappe moves to PSG for like 80 million or something like that, and they were like, actually, this guy should be like 200 million, and anything less than that is like positive EV for you. And PSG obviously go and pay 100 million or whatever it is. Oh, 180 million. Sure, there you go. And they're like, it's good value. So I think stuff like that is pretty good. Game Razor, what about the NBA guy? I don't know which NBA guy. So come back and let me know, and I'll give my thoughts. I'd love to see your analysis of forced free kick, 19th minute, gives away blast on the wall from the edge of the box when Cho is free, man in the box. Surely you pass in those situations. I haven't seen the free kick, but generally my opinion on set pieces is the fewer passes, the better. Because every time you pass, you increase your chance that you get nothing. Whereas if it's a direct shot, like, you don't have to worry about anything. And free kicks are juiced on XG. Like, a regular shot that's like 0.1 XG as a free kick is like 0.15, 0.16. Free kicks are super useful. Thoughts on Mudryk overall development under Maresca? Oh, you're talking about Sachin Gupta? Yeah, the Timberwolves guy. I think we talked about this maybe in a pod. I don't know what role he's been hired for. It's not public. I know it's not a head of data analysis. Like, he's not building an analytics department. He is officially it's a recruitment role, but I don't know the title. Sachin Gupta has very mixed reviews from who you talk to. The people I have spoken to don't have super high opinions of him. Like, his reputation is like he built the trade machine for ESPN, and then he worked his way up the T-Wolves. He had a pretty good track record of like identifying young talent for player development. The T-Wolves had like a pretty good record. with that, like Jaden McDaniels and Anthony Edwards and like a few other guys. They drafted Rob Dillingham this draft. Like there's something there. I don't know exactly how it translates to Chelsea unless it is like a true data department role. But like from what I know about Chelsea's data operation is that when the takeover happened, they were like, we're going to build the world's best analytics department, but we don't know what it looks like yet. They tried to hire Edwards a bunch of times. Didn't happen. They had a whole bunch of consultants, like external consultants who advised on data work at the club. And they had hired like individual analysts who are working with the coaching staff, but they're not like model builder, internal knowledge people, the way like Liverpool or Arsenal or City have. It's more functional than that, and I mean that kind of in a bad way. And as of March, so I haven't heard anything in a while until the Sachin Gupta thing, they were still unclear about what they wanted that to look like. So like Chelsea have a data department in that they have a few engineers who kind of put all the data together, and they have a couple analysts, but they don't have like... One of the real benefits of an analytics department is that you can build a library of internal knowledge that nobody else has. Like, for example, you can build the Philadelphia Union, right? They had we wrote an article about this because Jim Curtin leaked it, who was their coach. The Philadelphia Union basically had an internal set of, not rules, but guidelines for substitutions and for squad rotation that they showed. If you play well and win, you can rotate about up to 4 guys and not more than 4 guys and keep the like same squad feel going. But if you change more than 4 guys, it's bad. So for example, like if you put up if you're a team who averages a 1 expected goal difference, and you put up a 2 expected goal difference, and you run the same team the next game, you are more likely to have the same performance. But obviously you can't run the same team every game because your players would die, so you have to rotate. But if you rotate too many, there are negative contributions to your performance. The same thing doesn't happen if you play terribly and rotate all your guys. Like, that doesn't really happen. Regardless, they had built this like behind the scenes thing, and they're like, okay, Jim Curtin, like, hey, you should be aware of this. And he mentioned it in a press conference, and then we checked it, and it is statistically true. Like, those are really good guidelines that, like, Jurgen Klopp was a very good coach at Liverpool when he came, but by the end he was way better because he had absorbed so much information from their internal knowledge base and what they were able to develop over the years. That's just like really valuable stuff. And Arsenal's the same. Like, Arsenal bought Stat DNA under Arsene Wenger and like made really smart decisions compared to everybody else for a very long time. And that stuff really matters. I trust whatever they do over Scott McLaughlin's personality profiles and good guys who had ACL tears. Get good guys who had ACL tears on the cheap. The ACL tear thing was interesting because it wasn't just ACLs. Like, Chelsea for a time thought that they had an inside track on injury recovery compared to other people, and that was when they bought like Fabregas and Diego Costa were 2 players that Fabregas had like extreme groin problems at Barcelona, and Diego Costa tore his hamstring repeatedly at Atletico, and they got really good time out of them. Like, I think that was like actually like a cool thing that they did. And they tried the same thing with Emerson and Rudiger was really good. Emerson didn't work out. Like, I actually quite liked that as like a strategic thing they did, that they were like, no, we have a better sense of like predicting returns from major injury than other people do. It's good. One thing about Sachin Gupta I don't like is how he'd be involved in film sessions with the coaches and players. It's different culturally. Like, you would be surprised. There's a lot of analysts doing video with players at soccer clubs. It's very common. And I think you really do want your data people in those conversations. Like, for example, we talked about the like coaching Noni Madueke thing, right? Like, if you're doing video, and so you have a coach and you have an analyst, and they're talking, and the coach is talking about, like, look, Noni, I know you want to get here and shoot, but like, we would really appreciate if you were able to get here. And it's one dribble, it's one touch. And then, like, the analyst pulls up this and shows him, or shows a graph, or shows a plot of like XG or whatever it is, and explains, like, hey, look, we can look at all the shots ever, and you can see this is this. Now imagine you're a better shooter than the average guy. Think about how impactful, how dangerous, how good this can be. Like, I think that's a very, very impactful way to improve players, is to like teach them to think probabilistically, and to teach them, like, nobody is born knowing like the optimal way to play. Nobody like just happen, like, yes, some guys are so amazing that like the things they do work even if they play suboptimally. But like, it's like they're never going to get worse if you make them better. You know what I mean? Like, if you just add good stuff and take away bad stuff, they get better. Like, LeBron James is probably the best basketball player of all time, and like doesn't take nearly as many mid-range jumpers anymore, or he gets to the rim and he shoots threes. Like, that stuff matters. Like, you're not exempt because you're good, and having analysts in those discussions are really good. Now with Sachin Gupta, it's different. Like, you wouldn't have Win Stanley in a video session with a player. Like, that's probably not what you want. But analysts in the room is good. Wondered about your importance on throw-ins. Throw-ins are good, man. Long throws, get them in the box. Chelsea don't really have a long throw guy, but it would be valuable, I think, to do stuff like that. But it's not just shot creation, right? Like, there's lots of stuff you can do in the middle third. Like, if you remember, the England used to do a throw-in where they would have like, so they'd have two players here. And it was super simple. They'd have kind of three players. So they'd have like, this player would make a run here to bring his marker. Let me just bring another one. So they'd have like, the midfielder would make a run to bring their marker with them. And then they'd have this player go to bring somebody with them. And then they'd have this player come, not hard, because like, oh, I'm getting marked. And then they'd spin into this space and they'd throw it into the field to be able to get to the other side. And it's like, little stuff like that is so valuable. It's so valuable. So I think I think throw-ins are really good. I think an analyst can do a good job explaining that to a coach, but I feel like players don't want to see graphs and data. They may be more receptive to visualizing that on the pitch with the coach. It really depends on the player. You would be surprised how many players are receptive to graphs and data. But it's also not like, it's not like I give you a spreadsheet. It's not like that, really. It's more like I show you a clip, and then I show you some data, and then I show you a clip, and then we go on the pitch and do an exercise that's associated with instilling that behavior, and then we talk about it, and then I show you more, and then I show you this, and then I show you that. Generally, like, people are way more receptive to things that will make them better, even if they don't like the style of them. But like, I can speak from my experience and what people have told me. Like, you would be surprised how many players are really, really, really receptive to graphs and data. And again, are they more? But like, some players aren't. Some players need to hear Zidane tell them, like, you need to shoot from here instead of here, because when I played in the Champions League final, I shot from here and I scored, and I shot from here and I missed. Like, some players need to hear that. So players are people. Just like teaching kids in a classroom, different kids respond to different things, and you have to teach them differently. And so good coaching staffs and good player development programs like find the way to get the message through to the right person. And guess what? If they don't want to get better, get rid of them. If they don't want to improve, get rid. Goodbye. I don't want you here. Do I think Mudryk is getting one-to-one video? 100%. How long before decision-making noticeably improves on average? I think it's way better. Compare him this season and the end of last season to the beginning of last season and the season before. He got a lot better last year. I thought Pochettino did an excellent job with Mudryk. I will always plug my video about Mudryk because I think it's good, and I think that's like how people approach it. Mudryk is really good, man. Really good. All right, last two questions, and then we'll move on. And they're both going to be from Compster, unless people bring more funny ones. Compster, I'm going to go find them because you had two good ones. Is there a player profile we're missing to get more control in midfield? Does Tchouaméni, Andre Caicedo sound like a good midfield combo? I think it's just like whoever it is next to Caicedo has to sit deep next to him and also has to be good defensively. Because Caicedo is so good at releasing to close people down that Siri heard me. He's so good at releasing to close people down that like now there's nobody in the space. And that's why like Lavia kind of makes sense there when, I don't know, they've decided they don't want Enzo in that space. But I think if you had another player there who could like actually sit and win things, like in a perfect world, like Rice and Caicedo would be crazy. But I think like Tchouaméni would be great. I think Andre and Caicedo can work as well because one can release and one can sit, and they don't both have to go. So we'll see. But I think that profile is like the midfield profile that's missing. And I think the other is like whoever that player is has to be able to pass as well. Like you can't put like Ugachukwu there, who I don't think can really pass. And then the other question from Comster was about Onana. One of my most surprising takes for me is how Onana positive you are. I find him to be so unreliable, always letting in goals he should be saving. Can you explain what you see a bit more? So I think Onana has excellent technique. I think he has excellent technique. He moves through his goal very well. I think he's very good at staying on his feet, staying upright, and keeping his weight forward. So he doesn't like. I think a lot of the goals he concedes that people squint at and are like, oh my God, I can't believe he didn't save that. Because look, he got a hand to it. Are like saves that if he didn't get a hand to it, nobody would be mad about. Like Onana has been excellent this year. He had like a bit of a wobble his last season at Inter. Or his only season at Inter, I guess. But I think Onana is very good. And he's so good with his feet. Like, genuinely excellent passer. Like, he's really, really, really good. I did a great video on Onana way back when. Did I do a video on Onana? Really? Did I actually do a video on Onana? I don't remember doing it. I think I did do a video on Onana, but I did. All right. Yeah. Nice. I did do a video on Onana. I like Onana. I think he's really good. Very good with his feet. He's a rubbish cross taker, in my opinion. Like, very weak part of his game, especially with traffic. With traffic particularly, he struggles, but I think Onana is very good. He was like my pick before we bought Sanchez, was like the guy, and now I'm like, oh, whatever. But we'll see. John Jog, you see Rice as a sitter. I think he can, but I think like Caicedo, he can release. But I think if Caicedo is like 70% jump and go kill things, 30% sit, Rice is like 60 sit, 40 jump. And I think that's a good pairing for those two. Alrighty. Anybody else have thoughts, questions, concerns? Still, 3-0. All right. Well, that game's done. Always nice. What is a more valuable skill for a keeper, collecting crosses or being a leech? Kiri, you aren't that old to be forgetting like that. I've made a lot of videos at this point, man. I've been doing this for way longer than I thought I would. Way longer than I thought I would. This is my favorite video I've ever done, by the way, the Datro video. That one I think is one of my favorites. What is a more valuable skill? So like if I go probabilistically and look at like the value of a completed pass in your third versus a cross, like definitely cross taking by the models. I think the tough thing is like we've seen teams are so good pressing now that like if let's say your average goalkeeper has 10 turnovers in their half a year or 10 turnovers in their third a year, having a goalkeeper who has 5 of those and then also has like 5 or 6 passes that like really set up a transition, like that could be a much larger XG swing than a goalkeeper who's very good on crosses. But I do think like Courtois was so good at collecting crosses that he like completely warped how teams attacked Chelsea. Like if you go back and look at the Conte era Chelsea teams, like they would literally shut the game down and be like, go wide and cross it, have fun. And John Terry, Gary Cahill, Kurt Zouma, Courtois, like good luck. It's not possible to attack that way. And I think that's very valuable. And same for set pieces. Like, look how good Nick Pope was on the weekend. Like, just coming and punching everything. And, like, it's very valuable. So I'd say, this is such a cop-out, I'd say they're the same, just different, is my opinion. And it also matters team style. Team style matters a lot as well. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, Courtois is rubbish with his feet. But, yeah, he's the world's best cross-taker, probably. So it's hard to deal with. Alrighty, folks. We're going to wrap up there. I'll leave some dead time at the end because Bad Rabbits reminded me that if I don't leave dead time, it ends. I'm going to record a podcast tomorrow or later or something like that. Midweek this week, your boy is going to stream post-Europa League. I have the day off because I'm flying. So we're going to stream post-FK Noah. Hopefully we'll have a Tyreek George goal or something like that. Average feet plus great cross claiming versus great feet versus average cross claiming. I take great feet. No, I'm taking. There was just some podcast with the blue bar. I think you need to keep in mind that the right side of the screen is shut off. Yes, I noticed this last time and I did it again today. Yes, I did notice the last podcast when I got to the end of it that I was like, oh, you can't see whatever I just looked at. So, yeah, I do need to be more mindful of that because, yeah, there is some stuff behind the comments. So, thank you. I appreciate it. If there's ever stuff like that that you guys don't like or things that you're like, hey, man, I can't see or you're being an idiot, please tell me because I am very new to this and I think it helps us all get better. But, I don't know, sum up, Chelsea have 18 points from 10 games. We're probably good enough to make Champions League. We did better than we did last year. That's fine by me. Alrighty, folks. Enjoy the rest of your weekend, and I'll see you all on Thursday. Ciao.